Well, here in Canada, we are obsessed with Canada. I suppose it's human nature to think of yourself as the center of the universe. I refer to that in terms of Donald Trump, who is accomplishing a tremendous amount of things based out of Mar-a-Lago before he's even inaugurated as the president. He's conducting diplomacy and economic diplomacy, and he's certainly got Canadians in a tizzy with his social media posts about us becoming the 51st state. But I dare say that he actually has bigger fish to fry rather than poking at Canadian inferiority complexes, whether it's ending the Russia-Ukraine war, trying to restart the Abraham Accords in the Middle East, or dealing with America's largest economic and military rival. I do not believe that is Russia. I believe that is Communist China. And joining us now to talk about this is an expert who has been tracking this subject for years. He's the author of the new book, Plan Red, China's Project to Destroy America. You know him as our favorite expert on the subject, Gordon G. Chang, who joins us now. Gordon, great to see you again.
Thank you so much, Ezra.
You know, everyone, I guess, is interested in themselves, and so Canadians are focused on our own navel. But I tell you, Donald Trump, I mean, one of the signature items of his first term was his approach to China. Give me your thoughts on Trump's approach in his second term towards China. Is there anything different? Are any of the crises more further developed? What's the thinking in Mar-a-Lago?
Yeah, that's great. And we don't exactly know how Trump is going to deal with China because he's been sending out various signals. Now, during the campaign, he talked about tariffs, a 10% tariff for fentanyl and tariffs across the board of at least 60%. And he even mentioned 100% on Chinese goods. What we've seen recently, though, in last several weeks is a very different Donald Trump. When he was in Paris for the Notre Dame opening, he talked about China can help with Ukraine. And on Monday, the 16th, when he gave his impromptu press conference at Mar-a-Lago, he said China and the United States can solve all the world's problems. He called Xi Jinping amazing. And as we all know, he invited Xi Jinping to the inauguration. So it looks like he is trying to end up with some sort of grand bargain with China. But we will only know once he actually enters the Oval Office, because there's just so many different signals right now.
Right. And Trump, I mean, I just reordered. I was looking for my old copy of The Art of the Deal, and I couldn't find it, so I ordered that old book again. I think that a lot of that decodes Trump. He talks about how he uses dramatic offers just to reset things, how he likes to push the other guy back a bit to knock him off balance. And I think flattery is part of that. And I remember in his first term when he was dealing with North Korea's Kim Jong-un, how he would rave about him. And I think Trump gives and Trump takes away. So I wouldn't put too much stock in flattery, but it's something to keep an eye on. Do you think Xi Jinping is actually going to attend the inauguration?
I don't think so, Ezra. At the 16th, Trump said, Xi Jinping has not turned down his invitation, which is contrary to what people have been reporting. But it's pretty unlikely because this would be China's leader who believes that he is now in charge of the world, who thinks the United States is in terminal decline, going to a ceremony honoring a peaceful transfer in a democracy.
Right.
And of course, the Communist Party has taxed not only the United States, but it taxed the concept of democracy in general. So it would be a very difficult thing for Xi Jinping to swallow.
Right. Yeah, but I think that's Trump given the love. Trump, in Trump's mind, he's praising, he's opening the doors. He certainly isn't saying that about Justin Trudeau. And there was a historical precedent. It used to be that there was sort of an order. Mexico and Canada typically were the first two visits or meetings that America had, but those days are long gone. Hey, let me ask you one more thing about China that's been on my mind. We haven't had this phenomenon in Canada that I'm aware of, but for the past couple of weeks, there have been reports of all sorts of drone sightings in various states of the U.S. and lots of citizen journalists taking photos of them. I'm not sure how many were just mistaken for airplanes or how many are even just hoaxes, but there's a lot of unidentified objects flying around. This reminds a lot of people of that Chinese spy balloon that came down from Canada over the American heartland. And it was just so obviously a nefarious major aircraft. Do we know what these drones across America were? I know some people have speculated that they're foreign drones or spy drones. Do we know anything about that yet?
There are several things that we know. There's really two sets of drones. There are the drones that we know about from China and possibly from other foreign powers that have been surveilling U.S. Weapons facilities and military bases. So, for instance, a Chinese national has been charged with flying a drone over Vandenberg Space Force Base. And there have been these large drones over Langley Air Force Base in Virginia. So that we have a pretty good handle on, because most of those do appear to be from China. But you talked about another drone phenomena, which is over my state of New Jersey, where there have been all sorts of objects that have been identified, especially over the last 3 weeks. And it's also another 14 states. This is a mystery. Now, Trump at his press conference on the 16th said that the federal government knows exactly what's going on, but has not told the American public. We have heard all of these comments from the Biden administration and from the Pentagon saying that there's nothing unusual, but that really doesn't fit in with the sightings that we have seen. So there's a lot of speculation, and much of it is ominous. As a matter of fact, just for example, the Pentagon says that these drones are domestic. If they're domestic, I'm much more worried, because it appears then that there probably is some sort of federal operation over New Jersey, and they could very well be sniffing, which is the military term. They could be sniffing for radiation.
Wow. It is terrifying, and it is the kind of thing that the public, if they are not told the answer, I can only imagine speculation and imagination and worst case scenarios. I don't think the world in general knew how progressed drone warfare was until we saw it in Ukraine, Russia, and we saw it in Gaza. I mean, it is the pointy edge of the spear in terms of 21st century warfare, especially asymmetrical warfare, even naval drones, the drones that Ukraine has used to sink capital ships of the Russian Navy. Those drones might cost a few $1,000. They're sinking hundreds of millions of dollars worth of ships. I think drones, there's an aura of terror about them because they sneak up at you. They can be micro-targeted individual people. I don't know. I think the administration should certainly clear the air. Do you think Trump is getting a briefing on that? I'm not sure what briefings he would get as a president-elect. Do you think he knows, but he's just not being permitted to say?
Yes, because he did say that he was briefed, but of course he can't talk about it.
Can you comment on the drones that are flying around New Jersey ports? It seems like the American people have a big disconnect.
The government knows what is happening. Look, our military knows where they took off from. If it's a garage, they can go right into that garage. They know where it came from and where it went. And for some reason, they don't want to comment. And I think they'd be better off saying what it is. Our military knows and our president knows. And for some reason, they want to keep people in suspense. I can't imagine it's the enemy, because if it was the enemy, they'd blast it out. Even if they were late, they'd blast it. Something strange is going on. For some reason, they don't want to tell the people. And they should, because the people are really, they happen to be over Bedminster.
Will you shoot them down?
They're very close to Bedminster. I think maybe I won't spend the weekend in Bedminster. I've decided to cancel my trip.
Have you received an intelligence briefing on the drones?
I don't want to comment on that.
Have you been
do you have any reason to think they're a threat?
Now, there have been classified briefings from members of Congress more recently this week, and they basically said nothing out of the ordinary. But that doesn't comport with many of the sightings that we have seen. So, for instance, there have been a number of people who have said drones have been coming over New Jersey from the Atlantic. And that would not be consistent with what the Pentagon has been saying. So we've got to be extremely concerned. And then, of course, there's the behavior of some of these drones, which don't, they're the size of cars.
Wow.
So these are not hobbyists.
Wow.
And also, they've been operating in ways which we don't have seen from commercial drones.